submitted to your husband. Then again, like I said, this is not to preach perfection. Me too, there are times I have coconut head. A lot of times. Yes. Just like you too, there are times where you have coconut head. You know they hear word. I know they hear word. I get coconut head. There are times like that. But then again, let's be reminded of the word of God. And let's not be angry to the point where we commit sin. Let me tell you something. Your husband, your wife is a human being. Your husband is not a spirit. Your wife did not fall from heaven. We are all a work in progress. And so why do you think that they will not offend you? You're not in a relationship with a supernatural being. You're in a relationship with a man who is subject to various temptations. You're in a relationship with a woman who is not perfect. So why do you think your wife cannot offend you? Why do you think your wife should never offend you? Why do you think sometimes your wife should never even you should never hear the slightest hiss from your wife when she's angry? She's definitely going to offend you. But the word of God says, do not let your anger lead you to sin. It's okay to be angry. Even the word of God permits anger. But don't let the sun set on it. Don't go to bed angry. Why? Because when you go to bed angry, most likely that night you're going to devise something evil in your heart. Most likely that night you're going to think, if the dreams that you're going to have, they're going to be evil. And in fact, trust me, sometimes when I'm angry and I still fall short and I go to bed with the anger, what is in my mind then is like, hey, so say I feel your pinch now, the pinch, that kind of pinch that will pain so that you will know what you just did to me, that I'm angry. All those thoughts will start coming to your head. That's why the word of God says, be angry, but don't go to bed angry. I am even still guilty of this some of the time. But then again, the word of God is our standard. Whatever that we do, we have to fall back to the word of God. However we are believing our lives, the word of God is fresh, it is new every day, it is there, it is a study manual for our lives. Every single day, this is why you have to walk with God, because it is a continuous process. You just don't do it and it's done. No, it's an everyday situation. It's a process. It's a gradual process. The word of God says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So if you're a godly woman, if you're a godly wife, if you're a godly whoever, a virtuous woman, it is time to come back to God and submit. Be submitted to the authority that God has placed over you. A lot of you don't want to submit to the authority that God has placed over you. You want to bypass the man who is the authority that he has placed over you and go straight. So he has placed someone over you. That is your husband. Christ is our Father. But on earth here, the word of God has made it clear. Christ is the head of the man is the head of the woman, and God is head of Christ. So you cannot disrespect who he has put as your head, whether the man is a believer or not. Sister Mercy Johnson said, what if the man is an unbeliever and he is not submitted to Christ? Should I still submit to such a man? Yes, yes, yes. Yes. You don't have to respect all of his decisions. You don't have to respect all of his opinions. But if he decides to go with whatever he's planning to do, if he decides to go ahead with his decisions, you will be submitted to the decision. Yes. You can say, oh, I'm really not in support of this. I really don't think we should do it like this. But if that is what he decides, that does not mean you should not pack your things and say, I'm going. You are not a believer and you are doing this anyhow. I told you I don't want it like this. You will still be submissive. You will air your mind. Ananias and Sapphira, let me let you know something. Ananias and Sapphira, even as a married couple, it doesn't mean that you should follow your husband to sin. No. I'm not saying that anything he says, because he's an unbeliever, he says, let's carry gun and go and steal. So you too, you carry gun. No. He says, let's carry gun and go and steal. Dear, I can't go. I'm sorry. And it's not right for you to go either. But if he says, okay, if you don't go, I'm not coming back to this house for 2 days. But me, I'm going to go by myself. You are going to be submitted to it and you stay there. Guess what? You'll be praying for him. When you are in a marriage with an unbeliever, you have entered the ministry of intercession. Let me tell you now, you just don't know. If somehow you got married to an unbeliever, maybe your wife is an unbeliever, and you as a man, you're a pastor. Somehow she just doesn't love God as much as you do. Your ministry of intercession has just started. What is the ministry of intercession? You're going to begin to pray for your wife. Lord, let her be all that you want her to be. Lord, let her come to love you. Lord, let her come to the fullness of the knowledge of you. Lord, let your word guide her actions and her thoughts. You have entered the ministry of intercession. I'm talking about marriage now because marriage is a covenant. And I'm not talking about a marriage where the man is beating you and you're being submissive. You all already know my stand on that. Separate first and love each other from a distance. Be submissive from a distance, but let him not kill you first. And let God work on him. Let him work on himself, and then you can come back together if there is abuse in the picture. Is it possible to have a one-on-one chat with you? Yes, absolutely. I'll put my number at the end of the video. So whether your husband is an unbeliever or not, you can respectfully air your opinion. You can respectfully air your views.